fist holding tight to the string of your kite. Oh, let's go fly a kite up to the highest height. Let's go fly a kite and send it soaring up through the atmosphere, up where the air is clear. Oh, let's go fly a kite. When you send it flying up there, all at once you're lighter than air.
Hi, boys and girls. Welcome to the Smithsonian's National Air and Space Museum. We're the home to all objects that fly, from the largest aircraft to the smallest kite. We're dedicated to the preservation of the history of flight, in educating future generations about the excitement of flight, and continuing our research into the history of both aviation and space flight. But our main goal and our most important goal is to inspire you to take an interest in math and science so that you can better understand how these magnificent machines actually fly. We hope that today is the first step for many of you in what will become a lifelong interest in both aviation and space flight. Remember that even the fastest aircraft shares characteristics with the simplest of kites. We hope that sometime very soon we'll see you here in person on the mall at the Smithsonian's National Air and Space Museum. Have fun.
Today we're going to be building kites and learning why they fly. Then we're going to be decorating our kites with lots of neat colors and designs. And we'll take our kites and fly them high in the air. Most important, we'll have a lot of fun all along the way. Shopping!
No, Emily, it's not a shopping mall. Actually, the National Mall is this great big park, and it's home to a lot of very famous buildings, like the Capitol and the Smithsonian Institution, and of course, the Smithsonian Kite Festival.
Oh, so you mean it's not shopping?
No, it's not shopping. It's park. Today we're going to cover 3 things. Emily, can you tell us what we're going to do?
We're going to build a kite, decorate a kite, and fly a kite. So, Beth, where is the National Mall and Air and Space Museum?
Actually, both the National Mall and the Air and Space Museum are in Washington, D.C., which is our nation's capital.
So, Beth, what ways can you participate in the AFT?
Okay, there are several ways you can participate in the electronic field trip. First, you can call us on the phone, or you can go online and ask our bank of experts, and you can also participate in your turn activities, which you'll see throughout the broadcasts. Today we're here to celebrate the Kite Festival.
Hey, you kids out there in the mall, what are you doing?
I think that's the Secretary of the Interior, Secretary Kemp Thorne. Are you there?
I sure am, and I think it's exciting that you have this electronic field trip that's taking place.
All right, so Secretary, since you're the guy in charge of all these national parks, is it all right if we fly our kites on the National Mall today?
Well, of course you have my permission. What a great place to fly a kite here at the National Mall or any of our national parks, where you can be outdoors, the open spaces, let that breeze grab hold of those kites and away they go. And I think it's going to add so much color here at the National Mall with all the monuments that are here, whether it's the Washington Monument, the Jefferson Memorial, the Lincoln Memorial, or tribute to all of our men and women of the armed services that have fought for our freedoms throughout the history of the United States. So I want to thank all of you kids for participating in the electronic classroom, and get out there and fly those kites.
Okay, thank you, Secretary Kempthorne. I think that what we're going to do first, before we get started with anything else, is take a tour of the Smithsonian Kite Festival. Do you want to do that?
Yeah, let's take it away.
Okay, let's go.
Welcome to the Smithsonian Kite Festival. I'm John Burkhart, First Vice President of the American Kite Flyers Association. Let me show you around. This is the 42nd year for the Smithsonian Kite Festival. This year's theme is Brush Strokes in the Sky. With all the amazing colors and amazing kites flying overhead, it really does seem like somebody painted the sky with color. The festival takes place here at the National Mall in Washington, D.C., at the base of the Washington Monument. All day long, people of all ages bring their kites to this grassy area surrounding the monument to fly their kites. There are many special events scheduled throughout the day. This year's theme is focused on Chinese culture, so we'll have special Chinese music and kite displays. There are also rokaku battles, which is a situation where kites battle with each other until there's only one kite left in the air. The festival hosts exciting competitions throughout the day for visitors of all ages, from children to master kite builders. There's a lot more to see here at the Smithsonian Kite Festival in Washington, D.C. Maybe next year you'll come visit and explore more of this on your own.
Wow, that looks like a lot of fun. Now today we have 4 students with us. Emily, can you tell us what we did?
Well, Beth, from building, flying, and getting judged, we asked experts along the way for advice.
Okay, well, speaking of experts along the way, I think, Emily, that you went to the Kite Festival and asked some people why kites were fun. Should we take a look at that?
Yeah, let's take a look.
Let's take a look.
I'm at the Kite Festival, and I'm going to go ask the master kite builders why it's so fun to fly a kite.
You just put a kite on the end of a line and it goes up into the wind. All your stress goes up the line, into the kite, into the wind, and it's gone.
When you fly a kite, you feel you're flying yourself, you feel that freedom.
慢慢的就喜欢上了。Feel that flying kite will make people feel much better in terms of like your spirit.
Kites are just so much fun to fly because it feels like you're up in the air.
I like to fly kites because it brings me great joy to connect with the wind and the sky and the outside with a piece of art that I've built.
I like to fly kites because they're beautiful and you meet great people. So that doesn't start the first segment today.
Okay.
Building a kite.
Building a kite, let's go.
Building a kite and making it fly. So Tom, why do kites fly?
Well, it's kind of complicated, Gabby. Basically, kites fly for the same reasons airplanes fly, but we can teach you just a little piece of it, kind of the most important piece. I've got this, and you've got one. What we're going to do is put this under our lower lips, and we're going to blow down. And what do you think will happen? Will it go down or up?
I think it'll go down.
Well, let's try it. What happened?
It went up.
It did go up. A long time ago in the 1700s, a man named Bernoulli told us that when air was moving fast, the pressure was lower. So when we blow down, the air is moving faster over the top, the pressure's lower, higher on the bottom, up it goes, and that's just what happens to your kite or an airplane.
So if you don't believe us, just take a look at how well the kites flew at the festival.
Take a look at how the kites that two of our students built did for the festival. Let's take a look at how they built them for the festival.
First we'll watch Nigel build his bug kite, and then we'll watch Emily build her eddy kite. Now Tom, I don't know much about those two kites, but I do know that the bug kite is a flat kite and the eddy is a bow kite.
Great! Well, let's watch the kids build the kites and talk to us.
A bug kite. I wasn't thinking about the judges when I started to build my kite. I just said to have fun and do whatever I can. You'll probably want the sticks on the back to make them help fly. I think they should look out for my kite. It might be bad. I built an eddy kite. I'd say an eddy kite is, one of the more difficult kites to make. Too high, it's gonna break, so try about 4 inches. 5 inches is fine too. About like the size of a kid's hands width. I ended up doing patriotic because that's what I thought would be fun, and I thought maybe the judges would like that. Watch out, it's a very good kite.
Okay, well, it's time to show up our two kites and talk about them a little bit. Nigel, what can you tell me about your kite?
Well, mine is a bug kite, and it's a flat kite. Hey, Tom, why do flat kites have tails?
Well, flat kites aren't very stable when they're up in the air. They kind of burble around, and sometimes they even crash. So we put tails on them because that increases the resistance, and it makes them much more stable in the air, so they'll stay up there so they won't come down. Emily, what can you tell us about your kite?
Well, Tom, I learned that whenever you're building an eddy kite, that you don't want to bow your kite too much, and it's bowed, like I said, that it's bowed because it's in the air, and that is, if it's not bowed, it's not going to be stable in the air, and the eddy kite is a bowed kite.
Yeah, it's bowed. We kind of tie the spar up like this, don't we? Mm-hmm. And as you said, that's what makes it stable in the air, so it doesn't really need a tail.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see how Julian and Gabby built their kites.
The kind of kite I built is a sled kite. it's a kite festival, I thought it would be cool to put the kite festival on a kite. If you wanted to build a kite at home, I think this would be a real easy one. I'm not sure how I think it's going to fly. I've never built a kite before, but I think this was amazing. It was really fun. It was a good experience.
The kind of kite I built is a box kite. To make sure it's a really good box kite, you need to make sure you have the right length of dowel rods and paper. I'm not so sure about how my kite will fly. I think they call it a box kite because it's in the shape of a box. I think they're gonna say, cool.
So Gabby, here's your box kite. What can you tell me about it?
Well, I can tell you that the Bernoulli principle comes here when you have a box kite, because not only does the wind go around your kite, but also goes through the holes to keep it in the air. And I found that this kite was easy to build, but kind of harder to fly.
Neat. You know, it's the kind of kite that the people who were trying to invent the airplane built because of it's got a really good structure. Now, we are going to see a Your Turn segment. Julian is going to be building a sled kite for us.
This is a Your Turn activity, so to get your materials, you need tape, scissors, 2 dowel rods.
Kids, watch Julian. He's getting really good at this. You follow along with his instructions.
String and your template and any type of material that you're going to use to make your kite. And you can use regular paper. You can use. I made one out of regular paper, and I made one out of kind of paperback material. And you can also make one out of trash bags. Those fly really well too.
What are we using today, Julian?
We're using Tyvek.
And what is Tyvek?
It's the stuff that you use to insulate houses with.
Right, and the post office also uses it for their envelopes because it's really tough and it's hard to tear. It's a good material for kites.
Yeah, so take your template and put it down and put your hand over it so it won't move and trace around it. And if you don't have materials, then you can write this down, and so you can do it at home.
The template's important so that you get the kite sail to the right shape, because you want your kite to be symmetrical to both sides so it'll fly very well. All right, now we're going to cut.
And they also, the guy who made up the sled kite, he wanted to call it the flexible flyer, but it was already a sled's name, so he called it the sled kite.
And that was a sled for the winter, and these are sleds for the summer, spring, summer, and fall. So Julian's cutting the sail out now, and after that, he's going to put the spars on. Show you how to put the spars on.
Now, usually we would draw any picture on it, but the way we're doing it now is we're just putting on the spars. And now there's a trick to put on the spars on. You can take tape, any kind of tape, and you put it on the end like this, and then we put it on here, and then you fold it over.
Why do you fold it over, Julian?
So it can be stronger.
Right.
And then you cut the end off so it's symmetrical on both sides.
Right. When you put the tape over both sides, the tape won't break and the spars will stay inside the kite.
And you can tape one in the middle, right?
You can tape one in the middle, that makes it even stronger still. The sticks are generally on the back of the kite. It doesn't matter much, but let's call where the sticks are the back of the kite.
And you do that on the same on the other side.
Right, the sled kite has two sticks in it and they don't cross, they're parallel.
So
sometimes it's easier to make your kites inside where the wind isn't blowing. But we're doing a good job here today out on the National Mall.
yeah, and after you're done with this, you're still not done. You need take your string. Ooh.
Good catch.
Take your string and make it 1 arm's length. But if you're
or even a little longer. You
Yeah.
know, you can make the bridles longer, and that's better than making them too short.
And if you're younger, you can do it maybe 2 or 3 times. And then this is an easy way to put it on. You tie the 2 ends together like a loop.
And you make a knot there. Julian's knotting the 2 ends of the line together.
And so after that, then you put the knot on the backside?
Put the knot on the backside. Right. So nobody can see the knot. Right.
And make sure it's lined up with the points.
With the points, and then we tape it down. And this way, the line won't pull through the tape because it's on the back of the kite. There are some other ways to do this, but this is probably the strongest one.
And after this, you're still not done.
Still not done. You have to put the 2 points together. This is important. Because what are you trying to do?
Make a loop at the end so you can attach your line to it.
Sure, and what you're trying to do is find the middle of the line. Because then the kite bridle will be the same from side to side. Yeah.
And so
That's a finished kite. Were you following along with us? I hope you're making yours too.
now to experts on on advice how to make better and more reliable kites. I'm here at the Kite Festival, and there are lots of great experts on kites. Now I want to find out how you build a strong and reliable kite.
I build my kites mainly with bamboo and with the cheapest fabric that's very strong.
So you have to have a strong bamboo woods here, and that's the big skeleton. It's like a person with a skeleton. If you have a strong skeleton, you know, you're strong. So that's the main thing in a kite.
It can be made with any kind of material that you want, but a lot of loving care that goes into it.
Said that to make a good kite, you want to have a good plan.
Okay, Emily, so we've seen how to build a kite, and I know that you've built your kite, and you came here to fly it in the Kite Festival. Were you nervous about flying it in the Kite Festival?
Well, Beth, I was really nervous because I was going to fly the kite in Indiana, but the weather was so bad there. And I finished painting my kite the day I was getting shipped too. And the day it got to Washington, I flew it too. And but I was so unprepared the day of the festival because the day before I only got to fly once.
Okay, well, I think that we have some footage of you guys the night before the festival. Do you want to see it?
Let's see it.
Okay, let's take a look.
I had to tape some of my sticks tighter on. I checked all the tubes to make sure they were in place and the tape to make sure it was sticking right. I feel sort of nervous actually, like if the kite falls, if it lands on someone else's, like what's the judge gonna think? I checked the tape that was on it to see if any of it has peeled off. Well, on our test run, I tried to fly my kite, but the wind wasn't picking up enough, so my kite crashed and one of the spars broke. I am excited about tomorrow because it's a big day for me and I just want to make it a good day. I'm kind of nervous, but I just want to get out there and have the most fun I can have. I might be a little dangerous. I don't know how good I am with kites at all, but I actually might be a little dangerous. Sorry if I crash into your kite.
Okay, as you know, you can call in during this program, and I think we have some calls right now. Do you want to tell us who's calling?
Yeah, we have Caden from Rhode Island. Caden, what's your question?
Hello?
Hi, Caden, what's your question?
How many different kinds of kites are there?
How many different kind of kites are there?
I think Tom would know.
Tom would probably know. Let's ask Tom. Tom, how many different kinds of kites are there?
Well, Caden, there are many different kinds of kites. We're showing you 4 different kinds today, but there are lots of others. And if you watch the videos that we're playing during the show, you'll see them. You'll see lots of different kinds. Beth, Emily?
Okay, who's next, Emily?
We have Amelia from Massachusetts. Amelia, what's your question?
Hi, how much wind do you need to fly a kite?
How much wind do you need to fly a kite? Okay, do you want to ask John Burkhart that question?
Yeah, let's ask John.
Let's ask John. John, how much wind?
Amelia, you probably need about 7 or 8 miles to fly a kite. 10 miles is really about perfect. 15 miles is pretty good, and 20 miles an hour, that's a real challenge. You might not want to take your kite out if it's 20 miles an hour. So 8, 9, 10, those are good wind speeds. Back to you, Beth.
Okay, let's see. Who's next, Emily?
Yeah, we have Zach from Indiana. Zach, what's your question?
Who was the first person to make the kite?
Oh, that's a great question.
For Tom?
Yeah, I think Tom would know the answer to that one. Tom?
Well, we don't really know who the first person to make a kite was, but we know that it happened about 3,000 years ago in China, probably. And kites spread from China all through Asia and to other parts of the world. So about 3,000 years ago in China. Beth? Emily?
Okay, Emily, who do we have next?
We have Jeremy from California. Jeremy, what's your question?
How tall is the biggest known kite?
Wow. Let's ask Tom that one too.
Yeah.
How big is the biggest known kites? They've been made very large indeed. 100 years ago, military services built kites that were big enough to take human beings up into the air to look over the landscape and see if an enemy army was coming or something like that. So they've been made really large.
Hey, Tom, I think that there are kites that are as big as a football field, and you have to tie them down to a truck. You don't want to be holding that all by yourself.
They make them in Japan, don't they?
They make them in Japan. They make them in New Zealand also. Beth, Emily, back to you
guys.
Okay, great. That's all the calls right now, but don't forget you can call in anytime during the show. We will have another question and answer period. Emily, what are we doing next?
Well, we're going to watch us decorating kites.
Okay, let's decorate some kites.
Decorating a kite.
Nigel, decorating kites, you did a really good job on that kite. It's really pretty. Do you have any tips for the other kids? What can you tell them about decorating your kite?
Well, you want your designs nice and big. You want bold. You want nice, colorful colors. You want different things for it to stand out in the sky.
You suppose are kites just used for play, do you think?
I'm not sure. I don't think they're really used for kites. I think they're used for other things. Could you name them?
Lots of different things. When people were trying to invent the airplane 100 years ago, they used kites to test their ideas about airfoil shapes and how you control a kite. People in other parts of the world have used kites for fishing. Kites have lots of great uses.
Now, you said that kites fight in the air. Do they really fight?
Sometimes they do. In some parts of the world, in India, in Pakistan, Afghanistan, people actually do fight with kites. They send their kites up, and the notion is for one person to cut the other person's kite line, and the last kite in the air is the winner. What do you think about that?
Well, I like the Chinese dragon that we saw at the festival today.
I liked it too. It really was amazing, wasn't it?
Yes, it was.
The tail whipped around up in the air. It was really neat. You know, we collected that kite for the museum. Mr. Sun, the guy who built it, a Chinese master kite maker, gave it to the museum.
Let's take a look at some of the other amazing decorations at the Kite Festival. I've seen some amazing kite designs here at the festival today. I'm going to go ask some of the expert kite builders how they chose their design.
I go with whatever I think is gonna fly. I've built some that haven't flown, but I've always had fun making them and trying to fly them.
The color doesn't matter. It's a personal taste. You can have bright colors, you can have mellow colors.
Because they sing to me. They just kind of say, I want you to build me, and so you build them and they fly, you give them life.
So some people they just like puppy dogs. So everything they have is going to have puppy dogs on it, which is fine with everybody else because everybody likes puppy dogs.
Kids, this is your turn, part 2. We're going to talk about decorating the kites, and Julian's going to show you how he does this.
We use markers, and you can decorate whatever you want, but you use something else than markers.
I use ripstop nylon. It's sailcloth, and they make very colorful spinnakers. It's very strong, very light, and those are good materials for building kites, strong and light.
Yeah, so you want to make your design big, and you can test it out by putting it as far away from you as possible, so you can see the design when it's up in the sky.
Remember, the design is going to be 100 feet away or 200 feet away. If you make it really small, nobody can tell what you've got there. Now here's a design that Julian made the other day. You can see this one. A really nice smiley face. You said you like smiley faces.
Yeah. I was happy. I was really goofy then, so I decided to make that.
That's a good goofy face. Are you going to make one for us now?
Well, we have our kite, and now you can make whatever you want. Like sometimes You can make a tree, maybe.
All right, the kids, remember, we want it to be big. Julian's making a big one. Because when it's way up in the air, you want people to be able to see what it is, and you can tell them a story about your design. So I fill in the colors so people can really see it.
And so you can make whatever you feel like.
We've seen wonderful designs come out of a lot of classrooms. And kids, I hope you're building one now. All right, how about some tails?
Yeah, tails help it be stabilized. Like, you put them on, cut them.
Now, a sled kite doesn't really need tails, but it's very decorative, and it does help with the stability. Let's see. We need some Scotch tape.
Yeah, tape.
Tape's there someplace.
I got it. And now you just tape it on.
Tape it
and
onto
you can
the
use different color of ribbons.
Right. Because that's pretty festive if you use different colors of ribbons.
And you can tie ribbons on like bows on your tails.
And when you tie the bows on the tails, it makes it a little fuzzier, and so you get more drag in the wind. Drag is good for higher winds. You don't really need it for the lower winds.
Let's see one of your kites.
Okay. This is a kite that I did a number of years ago. My inspiration is cosmetics design from the 1920s. This is what's called Art Nouveau. The original design was by a man named Fred Packer. And you know, you shouldn't take somebody else's design and sell it, but if you're going to make the design and just use it for yourself, you can do that. So we've got all sorts of different colors. I like to mix the light colors and the dark colors. And when you mix the light and dark colors, you can really see contrast. Contrast is really good up in the sky so that you see the different shades.
And you use a sewing machine, right?
I used a sewing machine, yes. Again, this is the ripstop nylon, and you can do lots of interesting things when you're sewing. You don't have to sew, but we like sewing very, very much.
And so instead of marker, once you get really good at making kites, you can sew it with a sewing machine.
Oh, you can sew it with a sewing machine, and it makes it look like stained glass up in the air.
Now to experts on flying kites. Flying a kite.
Okay, we have talked about building kites. We have talked about decorating kites. I guess what's left is how you fly a kite. What do you think you need, Nigel? What are the essentials to fly a kite?
Well, obviously you need a kite, and you need a wide open space so it won't get caught in anything. Or you need wind, lots of wind to make it fly.
Those are good suggestions, but we have a friend here, John Burkhart, and I think John probably has some ideas about other things you need when you fly a kite.
Lots of other good things. You need to have some kite line on some sort of a winder, one kind of a winder or another. All sorts of different ways that different cultures wind up their lines. You need to take care of yourself when you're out there. You need to have some water, you need to have some suntan lotion, and you probably need some sunglasses. Sunglasses are good on a sunny day. Tom, you want to tell us about safety?
Well, I was going to say, what do you think, Nigel? What kind of safety precautions should we take when we're flying our kites?
Well, as I say, you need to find a safe place to stay away from those power lines, the roads you don't want to get ran over, or your kite doesn't. You need to stay away from those kite-eating trees, and you need to stay in then you need to stay away from storms. But then again, didn't Benjamin Franklin fly a kite in the storm?
Well, that's the story. The story is he did it with his son, but we think he probably didn't really do it in a lightning storm because that would have killed you if lightning strikes your kite. He probably did it when a storm was sort of coming up in the distance and, there was a lot of static electricity in the air. That's probably the electricity that he picked up.
We think his son was holding the kite line, but we think his son was standing under a shed. Is that right?
Well, you also want to take a firm grip so you won't fly in the air with a big kite. And you don't want to go bye-bye and stay away from your friends and everybody. You need to be careful because, like he said, you need gloves because you might cut your hands and you don't want to ruin the fun for everybody else.
Now, I have an idea. Would you two like to try to fly a kite?
Sure. This would be a good rainy day.
This would be a good day to do it.
All right.
So we'll let you guys go out there and get started. And conditions are perfect today. You can see the wind blowing all around us today while John and Nigel walk out there getting ready to fly their kite. It's just a perfect day. It was like this at the Kite Festival last weekend when lots of people got their kites into the air. You can see the two guys getting ready to get their kite into the air here. Nigel's going to help John. Going to kind of walk the kite out there. There we go. You see this great long tail that John has on this kite when we get it up into the air. Again, John is a real master kite maker. He's just one of the best. And you can see that in this kite, and you can sure see it in the tail. John pays as much attention to his tail as he does to his kite. There it goes. Now, there we go. A kite flying over the National Mall. Okay, let's see what some of our experts have to say about flying kites.
Some of these kites get really high up in the sky. I'm going to ask so many kite experts how to be a better flyer.
Just like anything, the more practice you have, the better you get. So the more time you spend on a kite, on trying it, and that's how you get better with a kite.
You just get used to your kite. Instead of like having a pet dog, you know when he's hungry and you know when he's tired and you know when he's angry. To become a better flyer, you should get out and fly. Fly often as you can.
Practice, 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 practice. Lots of practice and just being patient.
Another good way to do it is to contact your local kite club and get pointers from them and enjoy flying with them.
Asking advice from people is very important, and you'd be surprised how easy it is. A lot of people want to give you help.
You just have to fly a lot of kites in a lot of different wind conditions and get your kite knocked down a few times and get it cut out a few times and learn how to deal with it.
Okay, Emily, so you built the kite and you're here in Washington and you're going to go to the Kite Festival. Were there any rules that you had to follow?
Well, Beth, there was rules you had to follow, but I wonder what awards we could win, too.
Well, let's get through the rules first.
Yeah.
Do you know what the first one was?
No, I don't. Why don't we ask a judge?
Let's ask a judge.
Judges are looking for you to make your own kite.
Okay, Emily, did you make your own kite?
I made my own kite.
Rule number 1 down. Shall we see what rule number 2 is?
Yeah, let's check it out.
Okay.
Your kite must stay in the sky for 5 minutes.
Wow.
5 minutes. Did you keep it up for 5 minutes?
Probably not, Beth, but you know, I had to go at it.
Okay, well, that's great. Let's see. Do you think there are more rules?
I think there are. Let's check it out.
Okay.
Judges are looking for good decoration, and we need to be able to see it when we're looking up there.
Okay, so another good rule of thumb when you're decorating, you need to see it in the sky, right?
Yeah.
That's one wacky judge.
Oh, yeah.
All right, let's see. Do you think she has more rules?
I think she has one more.
All right, let's see.
Judges want you to be safe and courteous at all times.
Okay, I think you were probably safe and courteous.
I think so, too.
Should we watch you guys compete in the Kite Festival?
Yeah, let's watch.
All right, let's go.
I just registered for the Kite Festival. It's crashing into some people sometimes, but I can control it fairly well. We had to put a tail on my kite because it's not flying right. I've crashed a few times. I've been to the kite repair doctor because my kite's been having a lot of problems today. But I've got it pretty far in the air, I guess. We just had to go to the doctor a lot, so it's been able to get up there. But we just wait for the wind to pick up, so, you know. Well, we had to put a second tail on my kite, so we're trying to get it to fly again. I got a lot of compliments about my bug kite. They said I like the colors and how it's designed, and they hope it fly very well. There's lots of great kites out there. Well, I've gotten it in the air pretty far up, but it didn't exactly fall or crash, but it kind of landed. I think I had better luck to get it than other 3 students. It never crashed. It interfered with another kite, and it almost did, but it flew back up. What happened? Let's see. My kite crashed. Well, flying was fun, even though it didn't go up all that much. I've been doing good. I hope I got first, second, or third. Pretty much, I did good. What happened? This is called disaster. This is a disaster.
Okay, this is our final Q&A via the phone, but don't forget, you can always go to our Bank of Experts and check out our website. Emily, do we have our first caller?
Yeah, we have Tetrick from Virginia. Tetrick, what's your question? Oh, Tetrick, what's your question?
What kites used for messaging? What kites used for messaging?
What kites were used for messaging? I don't know. Do you think that may be a question for Tom?
Yeah, it's a Tom.
Sure, Kedrick. Kites were used for messaging. During the American Civil War, there was a whole set of sort of semaphore-like code flags that people used with balloons and with kites, too. So, you bet, kites have been used for signaling. Beth, Emily?
Okay, who do we have next, Emily?
We have Nathaniel from Washington, D.C. Nathaniel, what's your question?
What's the most popular kind of kite?
I don't know. Maybe John could answer that while he's flying.
Yeah, John?
McDaniel, there are all sorts of kites. These days, the sport kites are really popular. The ones that you fly with 2 or or 4 lines. The fighter kites are probably most popular in other places in the world, but I think if you come out to a festival like the Smithsonian, you'll see more types of kites than you can imagine.
Okay, great. Who's next, Emily?
We have Bradley from New York. Bradley, what's your question?
Where do you get the materials?
Where do you get the materials? I think that's another great question for John. Where do you get materials for kites, John?
I get materials from kite stores. There are some really good kite stores around the United States, and if you look on the internet for kite supplies, you can find the fabrics, you can find the Tyvek, you can find all the sticks, you can find flying line, you can find just anything that you need. But the real kite stores are the ones that are selling the real good materials. Back to you, Beth and Emily.
Okay, Emily, who do we have next?
We have Toby from California. Toby, what's your question?
Why?
Hi, what's your question, Toby?
Hello, Toby.
Are you there, Toby? What's your question?
Okay, it looks like we may have lost Toby. Let's see who's... Okay.
We have Desiree from Texas. Desiree, what's your question?
Hello?
Hi, Desiree. What's your question?
My question is, what determines how heavy your kite can be so it can fly?
How heavy it can be to fly?
Is it your question, how heavy can it be to fly?
Yes.
Okay. Do you know, or should we pass it along to someone?
I think we should pass it along.
Okay, who would you like to shoot it to?
Do you think John?
Okay, let's ask John again. John, we know you're busy, but how heavy can your kite be?
Well, you know, kites want to be as light as possible, and light and strong. Those are the two biggest characteristics. Now, if you have a kite that weighs more than 5 pounds, you have to ask the Federal Aviation Administration for permission before you fly that kite. And you also have to ask for permission if you fly at night. But so, light and strong, there are lots of kites that don't even weigh a pound, even though they're pretty big. Back to you guys, Emily and Beth.
All right, we're into our last Q&A question. We have Maddie from California. Maddie, what's your question?
I wanted to know what the best kind of string to use.
String?
Yeah, the best kind of string.
I think we might have to go with John for that. He's a really good flyer.
Yeah, John, how about that? What's the best kind of string to use?
The best kind of string to use is probably braided nylon. You know, something that's strong and light, and something that won't tangle very much. Again, if you go to a kite store, or if you look on the internet for the kite string, I think you'll find stuff that'll make you very happy. You don't want stuff that'll tangle, and you don't want stuff that'll break, and you don't want stuff that'll cut your hands either. Braided nylon is probably the best.
Okay, I think we've got one more. Who do we have, Emily?
We have Matt from Montana. One more. Matt, what's your question?
I was wondering what type of kites were used in war.
I think that's a really good question for Tom Crouch. Tom Crouch knows a lot about that. Tom?
Well, Matt, from Montana, kites have been used in war. 100 years ago, in fact, in this country and in Great Britain, too, and in Japan, they actually used kites to take military observers up into the air to see what the topography was like, see if they could see the enemy, that kind of thing. So the answer to your question is yes, they have been used in war. Back to you guys.
Okay, don't forget, you can always go to our website and our bank of experts to get some more questions answered. Well, we're getting close to the end of the contest. Do you want to see what the judges are thinking?
Yeah, let's see what the judges are thinking.
Okay, let's go to that.
This is why we like the sled kites, because the sled kites are easy to fly, even for one that little.
I love that kite.
Okay, we have talked about building the kite, decorating them, how you fly the kite the best way, materials, all kinds of things. And I want to see if you guys learned any lessons as a result of the Kite Festival. Gabby, what did you learn?
Well, I learned that box kites are always easy to design before you put them into the box shape. And also the Bernoulli principle comes because not only does the wind go around my kite, but it also goes through it. And if you want to check out our website, you can find different kinds of kites and different kinds of box kites as well. Then one last thing, I found my kite easy to build but kind of harder to fly.
Okay, Nigel, is there anything you want to share with the kids out there?
Well, I say to build your kite nice and strong so it can fill in the air. You want it small or big. You want it one that flies very well. So you can have fun out there. You can make a string go as much as you can. My kite flew very high. It's small. It flew very high. But I can make it bigger and it will fly even better.
Julian, how about you? What did you learn about sled kites?
Well, I learned that sled kites are real easy to fly, and they are pretty cool to fly around, and they're one of the best kites I think that I've ever made. But it's also the only kite I've ever made too, though.
Well, Emily, you had one of the toughest kites to build. What can you tell us about your Eddie kite?
Well, Tom, like you said, my kite is one of the hardest ones to build. And it's supposed to be really easy to fly. But see, at the Kite Festival, I found that it was hard to fly. And, then again, I'm not the best kite flyer, but he's better than I am, so. But I also learned that if you bow the Eddie kite too much, your spar will break. And that's not good either. And the whole point that mine is tailless is because the inventor of my kite, which is William Eddy, decided to invent a kite that would be tailless. And so we ended up making it, and it was a really nice kite, too.
Great! Now, I have one more question for all of you guys. Did you have a good time?
Yeah!
Great! Okay, the big moment is here. Let's watch and see what the judges decided.
It is my great honor and privilege to be giving out the awards. What fabulous kites we saw out there. Everybody walks out a winner, but we have a few extra special prizes. On to the important stuff. In third place, we have Nigel Robinson, number 146.
At the award ceremony, I got third place at the Kite Festival. Overall, I had a great time. I thought my kite went pretty well because this is like the first time I've flown a kite all by myself, and I was really happy with myself. Well, to win an award next year, I would probably try and keep my kite higher in the air and probably put a tail on it because it was kind of spinning out of control. I had a really good time today. Just because I didn't win doesn't mean I can't have fun. We love the Kite Festival!
Okay, well, we're just about wrapping up today. We want to remind you that on April 22nd, there's another electronic field trip on the Everglades, and we hope you will join us for that. So, did you enjoy yourself?
Oh, Beth, I had a great time.
That's terrific. Do you think you'll keep flying kites?
I think I will definitely keep flying kites because I had a great time at the Smithsonian Kite Festival. And, just what inspired me to keep on flying them.
Okay, great. So we need to thank a couple of people. Who do we need to thank?
We need to thank Best Buy Children's Foundation.
We need to thank Ball State University.
And definitely National Air and Space Museum.
All right, high five.